Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
Everything that you're looking at, they're all tied in together. Every part, as crazy as this seems, as outrageous as it seems, it all ties in. Every bit of it.
Are you ready for this? Sean Diddy Combs, the hip-hop mogul who once ruled the music industry, is now at the center of one of the biggest celebrity scandals of our time, and the latest twist might just blow your mind. Reports are swirling that Diddy could be striking a secret deal with the government. Yes, you heard that right. Word on the street is that Diddy's legal team has been working behind the scenes, allegedly offering up insider information that could shake the entertainment world to its core. And guess what? This information might involve some of the biggest names in Hollywood. So get comfortable, because what we're about to expose is just the beginning of a much larger, darker story unfolding right before our eyes.
These are all allegations that have become shockingly familiar against Diddy in recent months, as he has faced lawsuit after lawsuit from women and men who have accused him of all manner of bad behavior.
All right, let's break it down. Diddy, who's been locked up since his September arrest, is currently fighting serious federal charges, including racketeering and trafficking. But things have taken an unexpected turn. His legal team recently filed yet another request for bail, and this time they're pulling out all the stops. They've proposed a massive $50 million bail package, which includes tight security and 24/7 monitoring to ensure he doesn't flee or tamper with witnesses. But here's where it gets really juicy. Rumors are swirling that Diddy isn't just asking for bail out of desperation. According to insiders, he's allegedly offering something in return, potentially handing over major information to federal authorities that could implicate other powerful figures in the entertainment industry. If these rumors turn out to be true, we could be looking at one of the most explosive celebrity scandals in recent history. Now, Diddy's team has, of course, denied any claims of a deal. But let's be real, where there's smoke, there's usually fire, and the whispers coming out of the courtroom are hard to ignore. Allegedly, Diddy's legal strategy has shifted from complete denial to something more nuanced. Insiders suggest that his team might be playing a high-stakes game, one where Diddy's cooperation could not only reduce his sentence, but also lead to the downfall of others in his circle. If this is true, it means Diddy could be preparing to throw some of his closest allies under the bus in exchange for his freedom. And trust us, the names being whispered in connection to this are going to shock you.
If that's part of the indictment, that's somewhat like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're gonna do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
Let's start with some of the biggest names that have been linked to Diddy over the years. First up, we've got Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Now, before you freak out, let's make one thing clear. No one is saying they've done anything wrong. But given their long-standing friendship and business ties with Diddy, it's hard not to wonder if their proximity to him could put them under the microscope. Jay and Diddy have collaborated on several ventures over the years, and both have been seen partying together at some of Diddy's infamous gatherings. Could this connection come back to haunt them? It's too early to tell, but let's just say people are talking. Then there's Jennifer Lopez, Diddy's ex-girlfriend and one of the most high-profile celebrities of our time. The two dated back in the early 2000s, and while their relationship seemed to have ended amicably, it's hard not to wonder if J-Lo's name could be dragged into this mess. After all, she's been spotted at more than a few of Diddy's legendary parties, and some sources claim she was a regular attendee at his lavish events. But again, let's be clear, there's no evidence suggesting she's involved in anything shady. Still, given the current climate, it wouldn't be surprising if people start asking questions. And then there are the rumors about Usher. Yep, the R&B superstar has also been linked to Diddy for years. The two have a long history, and Usher has even gone on record talking about how Diddy mentored him early in his career. But what's interesting is that Usher has been noticeably silent in the wake of Diddy's legal troubles. Could he be distancing himself from the drama, or is there something more going on behind the scenes? Only time will tell, but people are definitely paying attention.
This is in the matter of Derek Lee Cardello Smith, MDOC number 267009 versus Sean Combs, Sean Puff Daddy Combs, also known as Sean P. Diddy, also known as Diddy, Bad Boy Records, label owner, founder.
But let's not stop there. There are whispers about other celebrities too. Megan Fox, Paris Hilton, and Russell Brand have all been mentioned in connection with Diddy at various points. And while their involvement remains speculative at best, it's hard not to wonder if they'll be dragged into the spotlight as this case unfolds. The entertainment industry is a small world, after all, and connections, whether personal or professional, can quickly become liabilities when the heat gets turned up. Now, let's talk about the real bombshell, those infamous freak-off parties. For years, Diddy has been rumored to host these wild, no-holds-barred events that allegedly catered to the rich and famous. According to multiple sources, these parties were more than just a good time. They were reportedly filled with scandalous behavior, and some of the activities that allegedly took place are now being used as evidence in the case against Diddy. And here's where things get really interesting. It's rumored that Diddy may have provided federal authorities with details about these parties, including who attended and what went down. If that's true, there are a lot of people in Hollywood who are probably sweating right now.
As far as, is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they're going to cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life. With all the charges he had to, he won't get out till 70 years old. He about 70. That's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway house.
Insiders claim that Diddy's cooperation with the government could lead to more arrests in the near future. And if even half of what's being whispered is true, we could be looking at a domino effect that takes down some of the biggest names in entertainment. Imagine the headlines if one of your favorite celebrities gets caught up in this mess. It's the kind of scandal that could redefine Hollywood as we know it. But wait, there's more. Diddy's legal team has been working overtime to discredit the government's case, calling it weak and thin. They're arguing that the evidence against him is circumstantial at best, and that the prosecution is circumstantial at best, and that the prosecution is relying on hearsay and speculation. And they might have a point. After all, much of what's been reported so far has been based on rumors and unverified claims. But here's the thing, the government doesn't bring cases like this unless they're pretty confident they can win. So while Diddy's team is putting on a brave face, there's no denying that the stakes are incredibly high.
Does he have a shot? I think his attorneys raised some good arguments.
I think they raised good arguments as well. Maybe this will be third time's the charm, because the difference between this bail motion and the prior two is that this one really does get to the heart of what the court was concerned about, which was witness intimidation.
The real question, though, is how far Diddy is willing to go to save himself. If the rumors of a secret deal are true, it means he's already started giving up information. And if that's the case, who else could be next? Could we see more celebrities facing charges in the coming months? It's entirely possible. And if Diddy really is cutting a deal, we might soon find out just how deep this rabbit hole goes. But let's not forget, Diddy isn't the only one with something to lose here. If he starts naming names, it could trigger a wave of lawsuits and investigations that ripple through the entire entertainment industry. And for some of these celebrities, even being mentioned in connection to Diddy's case could be enough to ruin their careers. It's a dangerous game, and right now, everyone in Hollywood is watching to see how it plays out.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail.
So what's next? Well, Diddy's trial is set for May 2025, which means we've got a long road ahead. But if recent developments are any indication, we won't have to wait that long for more drama. His legal team is pushing hard for bail, and if they succeed, it could open the floodgates for even more revelations. And let's be honest, we all know that once Diddy is out, the tabloids are going to go into overdrive with speculation about who he's talking to and what kind of deals he's making behind the scenes. In the meantime, the entertainment world is holding its breath. Will Diddy's alleged cooperation lead to more high-profile arrests? Will we see the fall of some of Hollywood's biggest stars? Or is this all just smoke and mirrors, a clever legal strategy designed to distract from the real issues at hand? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over, and the next few months are going to be crucial in determining how it all plays out.
Well, one of the things that's going to happen, and I do believe that there has been a grand jury investigation that has been employed in this case. I think there may be a federal investigation going on, and there may be a stateside one, but I'm not totally sure. But one of the things that the prosecution in any case is going to try to do is show that there is a pattern of behavior here.
As we wait for the next chapter in the scandal to unfold, one thing is clear. The entertainment industry may never be the same again. Diddy's downfall could be just the tip of the iceberg, and if these rumors of a secret deal are true, we might be on the verge of one of the biggest celebrity scandals in history. So keep your eyes peeled, because the drama is only just beginning. And just when you thought things couldn't get any wilder, Diddy's legal saga takes another twist. But before we dive into some of the juiciest details, let's rewind a bit and remind ourselves of how we got here. Because, trust us, this story has been building for a while, and now it's reaching a boiling point.
Diddy has been under criminal investigation for months by federal prosecutors here in New York. And if there are criminal charges, many of them may look a lot like what some of these individuals have been describing.
So, how exactly did Diddy go from being one of the most celebrated figures in music and fashion to sitting behind bars, facing some of the most shocking accusations we've seen in years? Well, it all started last November when his ex, Cassie Ventura, dropped a bombshell lawsuit that sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. And this wasn't just some minor relationship drama. We're talking about serious allegations that painted a much darker picture of Diddy's personal life. Cassie's lawsuit claimed that during their on-again, off-again relationship, which lasted over a decade, Diddy had subjected her to years of mistreatment, including controlling behavior and violent outbursts. And the most jaw-dropping part? She also accused him of forcing her into some highly questionable situations that we're not going to get into the details of here. But let's just say it wasn't pretty. Now, here's the kicker. Just one day after Cassie filed that lawsuit, the two of them reached a settlement. Yep, less than 24 hours later, the case was quietly resolved. No one knows exactly what kind of deal was struck, but the fact that it was settled so quickly raised a lot of eyebrows. Some people speculated that Diddy had offered her a huge payout to make the problem go away, while others wondered if Cassie just wanted to put the whole thing behind her. Either way, the details of the settlement remain a mystery, but it certainly didn't stop the rumors from flying. And from what we've seen since then, it was only the beginning of a much bigger storm.
Basically what that means is the money that they're saying Diddy has to start paying this guy on October 1st, right. Diddy's team is like, hold on, we need an emergency conversation about why this should not have been granted. And they awarded him a TRO, which basically meant that Diddy's team was not allowed to sell any property in that state or anything related to what could be used to.
Because right after Cassie's lawsuit came to light, more accusations started piling up. Suddenly, Diddy was facing multiple lawsuits, all from individuals who claimed to have their own stories about his troubling behavior. One of the most chilling came from a woman named Joey Dickerson Neal, who said that Diddy had assaulted her back in the early 1990s when she was a college student. According to her, she had been intoxicated and taken advantage of, and to make matters worse, Diddy had allegedly filmed the entire incident. If that sounds like something straight out of a nightmare, that's because it is. It's no wonder that by the time 2024 rolled around, Diddy's reputation was in tatters, with more and more people coming forward to share their experiences. And then came the federal charges. This is where things went from bad to worse for Diddy. In September 2024, he was arrested in New York after a grand jury indicted him on some seriously heavy accusations, including racketeering and trafficking. The indictment described Diddy as the ringleader of a criminal enterprise that spanned years and involved multiple people. And let's be clear, this wasn't just about his personal relationships or drama with ex-girlfriends. These charges accused Diddy of running a complex operation that allegedly exploited people for his own benefit, using his power and influence in the industry to control and manipulate those around him.
Sean had to take responsibility for what he did as an individual. Sean is the one who pulled that gun out. Sean is the one who shot. So he has to take responsibility for that.
According to the indictment, Diddy used a range of tactics to keep people under his thumb, from intimidation and threats to financial coercion. In some cases, it was alleged that he even used his connections to supply people with substances as a way of controlling them. It's a chilling accusation, and the federal prosecutors certainly weren't pulling any punches. They claimed that Diddy's so-called freak-off events, which had long been the subject of rumors, were actually a key part of his operation. These events, which reportedly took place at his lavish homes and other private locations, were described as wild, anything goes gatherings where the lines of consent were often blurred. And here's the really disturbing part. Some of the people involved in the events have come forward to say that they didn't feel like they had a choice. But here's where things get even more complicated. Despite the mountain of accusations against him, Diddy's legal team has been fighting back hard. They've painted the whole thing as a massive smear campaign, claiming that many of the people coming forward are just looking for a payday. Diddy's lawyers have repeatedly argued that the government's case is weak, calling it thin and saying that the prosecutors have been misleading the court. They've also pointed out that many of the allegations date back years, even decades, and questioned why these individuals are only coming forward now. It's a classic defense tactic. Discredit the accusers, cast doubt on their motives, and suggest that the whole thing is a money grab.
After he was charged, even though he was been in the spotlight his entire life, with many of his purported antics and episodes being widely reported in the press and known to law enforcement authorities. Indeed, hardly a risk of flight, he is a 54-year-old father of 7, a U.S. citizen, an extraordinarily successful artist, businessman, philanthropist, and one of the most recognizable people on earth.
And you know what? It might actually be working. Because despite the serious nature of the charges, Diddy's legal team has managed to delay the trial multiple times, and they've even convinced the court to hold a series of hearings about whether some of the evidence should be thrown out. At one point, They argued that some of the digital evidence, including video footage and text messages, had been obtained unlawfully and should be excluded from the case. And while the judge hasn't ruled on that yet, it's clear that Diddy's defense team is pulling out all the stops to keep him out of prison. But here's where things get really interesting. As part of their defense strategy, Diddy's team has been pushing for bail, and they've offered up a pretty hefty package to sweeten the deal. The latest offer includes a $50 million bond along with 24-hour monitoring and strict conditions on who Diddy can contact while he's out of jail. On paper, it looks like a pretty solid deal. It's not like Diddy's going to be running off to some tropical island anytime soon. But despite these efforts, the court has denied bail multiple times, citing concerns that Diddy might be a flight risk or that he could try to influence witnesses. And honestly, given the gravity of the charges against him, it's not hard to see why the judge isn't willing to take any chances.
New at 5, the legal troubles continue for Sean Diddy Combs tonight after a judge ordered the music mogul to pay $100 million to a Michigan man who says that he was assaulted by Combs in '97.
According to court documents, Derek Cardello Smith says Combs drugged and then assaulted him during an after party at a Holiday Inn in Detroit. But Combs never responded to the lawsuit in court.
But let's not forget, the rumors about Diddy's potential cooperation with the government are still swirling. And this is where things could get really messy. If Diddy is indeed working with authorities, it's possible that he's already handed over information that could implicate others in his circle. Remember, Diddy has been in the entertainment industry for decades, and he's rubbed shoulders with some of the most powerful people in Hollywood and beyond. If he starts naming names, the fallout could be massive. We're talking about a potential domino effect that could bring down some of the biggest stars in the business. And here's the thing, Diddy isn't the only one facing legal trouble. Over the past few months, we've seen a wave of lawsuits and accusations against other high-profile figures in the industry, many of whom have been linked to Diddy in one way or another. From fellow musicians to A-list actors, the list of people who could be caught up in this scandal seems to grow by the day. And while no one has been formally charged yet, there's definitely a sense that more shoes are about to drop.
Well, that's the interesting part here. And so what the plaintiff in this case did was filed for what we call a temporary restraining order, which would have prevented Diddy, or would prevent him from selling that Los Angeles home. And so we know, or at least we believe, that that TRO was granted to enjoin or stop him from selling that home.
One of the most intriguing aspects of this case is the role that Diddy's vast network of connections could play in the investigation. Over the years, he's built close relationships with some of the biggest names in the business, including people like Jay-Z, Beyonce, and even Jennifer Lopez. And while there's no suggestion that any of these individuals are involved in the alleged crimes, their proximity to Diddy has raised questions about what they may or may not know. After all, Diddy has been known for throwing extravagant parties and hosting exclusive events that attract some of the most powerful people in Hollywood. Could some of these gatherings have played a role in the alleged criminal activities? It's a tantalizing possibility that investigators are surely looking into. But here's where things take an even more dramatic turn. In March 2024, federal agents executed a series of search warrants at Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. These raids were reportedly part of a larger investigation into Diddy's activities. And while details about what was seized remain under wraps, sources say that investigators found a treasure trove of evidence. Some reports suggest that hundreds of video recordings and other materials were taken as part of the raids, and that these could be key pieces of evidence in the ongoing case. There are even rumors that some of the footage may involve other celebrities, which, if true, could be a game changer.
Jay-Z got his by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You got it. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your whooped.
And it's not just video recordings that have investigators' attention. According to sources close to the case, Diddy's personal devices, including his phone and computer, were also seized during the raids. It's believed that these devices contain a wealth of information about his business dealings, personal communications, and possibly even incriminating messages that could tie him to the alleged crimes. If prosecutors can piece together a digital trail, it could spell big trouble for Diddy and potentially for anyone else who was involved in his operation. But here's where things get really wild. There's a growing belief that Diddy may have been preparing for this all along. Some insiders claim that Diddy had been working to cover his tracks for years, using a series of non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, to keep people quiet about what really went on behind closed doors. These NDAs reportedly prevented attendees at his events from speaking out about anything they saw or heard, and some even included clauses that barred people from taking photos or videos. It's a smart move. If you've got something to hide, making sure no one can talk about it is a pretty effective strategy. But if these NDAs are discovered to be part of a larger scheme to silence potential witnesses, they could become yet another piece of evidence in the case against him.
I don't think they are scared of him. I think they more so, they don't want him to embarrass their reputation and things that they've been known for. You understand?
As we look ahead to Diddy's trial, which is set to begin in May 2025, one thing is clear. This story is far from over. In fact, we might only be scratching the surface of what's really going on. With so many moving parts and so many high-profile figures potentially involved, it's anyone's guess how this will all play out. Will Diddy manage to cut a deal and avoid a lengthy sentence? Will more celebrities get dragged into the scandal? Or will the full extent of his alleged crimes finally come to light?
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their brand.
Whatever happens next, one thing is for sure, Hollywood is on edge. And as we get closer to the trial date, the anticipation is only going to keep building. Because if even a fraction of the rumors we've heard are true, this could be the biggest celebrity trial since O.J. Simpson. And let's be real, people are going to be glued to their screens waiting to see how it all unfolds. So, what do you think? Could Diddy really be working with the feds, or is this all just a clever strategy to buy himself more time? And if he is cooperating, who do you think could be next on the chopping block? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to subscribe for more updates on this explosive case. Because, trust us, this is one story you won't want to miss.